All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we have a phenomenal hip-hop legend from the West Coast calling into the radio station airwaves right now. We got the one and only Sylky Fyne live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, what's up? Fine.
I gotta say, first and foremost, Sylky, I've been a fan for so many years, so thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time this evening.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm always honored for anybody, especially hot hip-hop stations like you, to reach out. I'm just very ecstatic.
I gotta say, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from a legendary individual like yourself.
Thank you so much.
But I know you're very busy, and I know you got a studio session coming up in about 30 minutes, so I'm going to dive right into this interview. But I want to know, like, from the very beginning, like, what made you actually decide to get into the music industry initially? What's the story behind your illustrious career start?
Well, it was always in me and not on me. So at about the age of 13, I started rolling with these rappers, these guys out here on the West Coast in the early 80s, and they were called the Rappeteers. So I really received my foundation from the Rappeteers and Jolly Joe, and me and my homegirl Silver, we formed a duet group called the Rhyme-A-Lets. So all the way to the 90s, when I was in junior high school, we just, was rapping and rhyming because we didn't want to get caught up gang-banging.
And it's completely understandable as well, but I gotta say, like, I heard from other artists as well that it was either sports, music, or gangbanging. So, but I gotta say, you most definitely found your talent and most definitely made the right choice in getting into music.
No doubt. I am so glad that I always took that route.
But I gotta ask as well, because while doing the research for this interview, like, I've heard of this group that you were a part of, but it was actually, you were part of an unreleased group called by the name of GBM. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a bit more about that group, and of course, why didn't you guys actually release any of your records?
Okay, so GBM was handpicked by Eazy-E himself. We are a four-girl gangster group. We're all very close. We still keep very good connections. The group consists of Big Chan, which formerly of the Doggy Angels, my homegirl, Pretty Ice Girl Diamond, and T-Ski. She moved out to Atlanta. She's a management company, production company. So what happened? Eazy left a list of who was priority, and we were on that list. And we were actually before Bone Thugs and Harmony, but Bone Thugs and Harmony came through and kind of like pushed us back a little because we were younger, we were females, we were arguing and shit. And then Bone came through like ready, coming straight up out of Cleveland. So it was like they were really, really thirsty, and we were like California girls, spoiled, like whatever. We're Ruthless, but at the time of his death, it was so unexpected. We never came out because the whole transition of Ruthless Records after Eazy's death, it was never the same. I don't think anyone came out under Ruthless.
And I gotta ask as well, just going back to the Ruthless days for a minute, how did yourself and Eazy-E get connected? Because me personally, I'm a huge NWA fan. Eazy-E most definitely made a positive impact on me growing up, just his music alone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was very destined to mix that a little bit. I was destined to get involved in rap. So I stumbled across a connection that said Eazy-E. So I just would call and leave several messages freestyling. And at the time, he had an assistant named Shari Henry, and she saved all the messages. And this one day, I buried my grandma. We left the funeral. I said, you know what? I'm about to call before the funeral. So I was already antsy-pantsy. And on this particular message, I freestyled, but I cussed Eazy-E out. I went off. I was like, you didn't answer my call, you little punk mother thief. I just went gangster. And so that was the message that caught his attention. when I got back from my grandma's funeral, I had a voicemail, and it was Eazy-E saying he was sending a ride to come get me, and he wanted me to audition in front of him.
I gotta say, you know what I mean? That actually, it's not every day you can cuss somebody out and get that audition. I gotta ask you, as we already know, like we already know how the audition went, of course. But what was it like just auditioning in front of him? Like what was the energy like in there? Was he a little upset at the message, or was he actually kind of like, you know what, you got balls, I like that?
Yeah, he was definitely like, you got balls. Like, I couldn't even really get to the 10th bar. He was like, you want to be with Ruthless? I was like, hell yeah. So it was vividly less than a 5 minute of me rapping, like basically 2 minutes. And he was like, do you want to be with Ruthless Records? And it was history. It was like instantly I was joined into this group.
And the one thing I have to ask as well, like, because obviously you shared a lot of amazing moments with the late great Eazy, and I have to ask you, what was one of your most memorable moments that you actually shared with him?
Well, I have so many, but there was a particular time when I stayed in Hollywood and I got shot in my finger. And all I know is that Eazy rushed to the hospital, and to me, that was just it meant so much to me. Like, he really cared for me like a sister, you know. It was like he stopped whatever he was doing. He made sure my medical bills were paid. I had a good surgery, and I mean, just for him showing up, it just had me just overwhelmed.
And I gotta say, I heard a lot of great stories that he was really like that. He was very close with the individuals that he had signed to
Yes,
him.
definitely, yes. Eric was very compassionate. You know what I mean? It was funny when you see him on the outside, you think NWA, gangster, thug. But when you knew him and you were around him, you thought, like, you're just trapped in a little colored guy's body. You know, it was like he was very intelligent. He was compassionate, and he really cared about the people around him.
And also, as well, I have to say, I really enjoyed the song you did with him actually on his album that came out right after his passing. I feel you guys had phenomenal chemistry just together on that song.
Yeah, it was like we had a lot of plans on actually doing more records, possibly doing a Sylky and Eazy project. And it just was so untimely that we lost such a great person. It actually did a lot of damage on the West Coast. We really haven't had a great success how we had back then. There was Death Row, there was Ruthless Records, it was DJ Quick, it was Dog Pound, it was King P, it was, I mean, you know, it was Yo-Yo, it was Lady of Rage. It was just like a big family tree. And seemed like after Ruthless folded, Death Row Records folded, all the artists went their separate ways, and we just don't have that West Coast boom. So that's why I'm coming back, and I'm going to make a boom.
And I agree with that, but I gotta say, at least, you know, at least us fans, we got to hear what you guys can do together on Straight Off the Streets.
Definitely.
And also, oh, sorry about that.
There was a couple of cuts on YouTube. I see that surfaced with a couple of records Eazy-E featured with us, the group GBM as well.
And also, as well, during your time at Ruthless, you actually had the opportunity to tour with Bone Thugs and Harmony. I have to ask you, what was it like just being on the road and touring with them?
Man, it was awesome. I believe it was about 5 Bone Thugs and Harmony. It was 4 GBM members. So we had a thing, and we called ourselves the Chain Gang. So it was all really family orientated. It was like we had brothers and they had sisters or girlfriends or however it went back then. You know, everybody was young. And it was just like a big old family. You know, we really didn't have any issues. We always stayed down with each other.
And also, as well, aside from the Ruthless days, you also had the opportunity to cut lyrics for Tupac Amaru Shakur. I was wondering, how did yourself and Tupac get connected? And of course, what was it like just working with him?
Oh my goodness, we met years before he was with Death Row, and we met right around the time the Brenda's Got a Baby record was popping. I met Tupac out at a club. There used to be this club every week downtown, and it was just like a New York type scene. That club was just popping. So I actually met his hype guy, and I used to talk to his hype guy named Mouse Man. So me and Mouse Man connected, and I never really said that I knew how to rap, because back then I didn't have a record deal. I was kind of like the lady that had all the bud. So I would cook fried chicken, and I would take them some of the best bud, because they were like from the Bay, coming down here to Cali, Los Angeles. So we just had like a real good friendship where I would take them food and, you know, good green. And then years later, after our friendship developed and we GBM got signed with Ruthless Records, of course, everybody knew everybody. So after Eazy-E died, another mutual friend, I called and said, you know what? I need to get a record with Pac. This was after we had already did records before he passed away. And I'm like, I got to get Pac. I got to get him with Busy. This is after Eazy-E passed away. Busy was working on a solo project. So I grabbed Tupac and got him to do the record. And it was like, okay, I'll do it if you are on the record. So Original Thug Love came about. Me, Busy Bone, and Tupac. But then when Tupac passed away, I was taken off, and the group took over that record.
And I gotta say as well, it must have been such a phenomenal vibe just to be in the studio with him, because I've heard stories that this man actually like would write his lyrics, go in the booth, and get it all done within like an hour.
Yeah, less than that, and that's one of the great traits that I picked up from Pac, because I can, like, go in the booth and just freestyle and come up with some of the dopest lyrics, and I learned that from Pac. There was a lot of times he wouldn't even have paper. He would just go in there, and when we recorded the last motherfucking breathing, he said, okay, whoever goes in there, if you ain't ready, you got to punch, you're not making the record. So I think it was me and Gaddafi, like, wrestling to be the next one on the mic, and I eased in there and knocked out my verse. He was like, you made it. But then, like I said, when we lost him in his untimely death, we were removed off the record again.
But I gotta say as well, rest in peace to Tupac and Yaki Gaddafi, two amazing, talented individuals gone way before their time. I gotta say, I don't even know how the music industry would be today if Tupac and Gaddafi were still alive. I don't think a lot of this new music would be out if Tupac was still here, personally.
No, I don't either, because I feel like our West Coast sound has just faded out with this trappy music. And I mean, much love and respect to all the new artists, the upcoming artists. I know it's a different generation, but definitely we lost that West Coast boom. So I agree totally. Without Pac, without Eazy-E, even with Suge Knight being away, he did produce a lot of artists. You know, he had a label, Death Row Records, that was very strong, full of talent. Ruthless Records, several artists, full of talent. So, yeah, we really took a big loss losing those two guys.
And also on March 24th, 1998, you released your debut solo album titled On Raw Sylk. I was always wondering, what's the story and inspiration behind that iconic record?
Well, it was actually, I joined in as a writer, and there was another female artist. So once I did the dummy vocals, they didn't feel that she could deliver the vocals. Like, they said I was so impressive. Like, it was like I made you feel it, and she couldn't quite deliver it the way I wrote it. So they sent my dummy vocals over to RCA Records, and RCA fell in love with it. They flew me over to New York and was like, yo, Sylky, fine, let's do it. So I never signed the deal. I was with a small production company, so I guess they did some type of distribution deal, and then it was just like I felt like the music industry didn't have a good love story. Females at that time weren't representing relationships. So I just went straight from the heart. And when I write music, it's not necessarily a personal story. I try to write reality rap that a lot of people can relate to.
And also as well, following in 2000, in the year 2000, you released my personal favorite song called "Ya Style," featuring the one and only Snoop Dogg. I was wondering, what's the story behind that song, and of course, how did yourself and Snoop Dogg initially get connected?
Well, we were connected from years ago with me being on Ruthless Records. We would always show up to their video shoots and hang out. And my good friend Diamond was really close with Corrupt at that time. So it wasn't up until I made a name for myself and did the record Romeo and Juliet. A mutual friend was in touch with Snoop, and they were like, Snoop Dogg want to talk to you, and they connected me with Snoop, and he was like, yo, let's do a record. So I think the first record we did together was I Wish You Wouldn't Trust Me So Much on the Top Dog album. And we really jailed. It was like, it was like a family once again. I've always had like brother and sister relationships with these guys. So it was just like bread and butter. It just went together, and we would knock out these records, and it was just an amazing time.
And also as well, I remember that song is actually off your second solo record, "The Come Up," and I was wondering, like, what was it like just working for Rough Town Records and just doing that album? Because I got to say, that's personally one of my favorite records by you. Because I remember, I think as well, you had Nicole Renee and I believe JT Money as well on that record as well.
Correct. I mean, I was always open and like, wow, this is really going to be something big, because it was my relationship with Busy Bone and Snoop Dogg that got them to appear on the record with me. And Rough Town, I don't know, it's like I get with Grand Jury, they never, ever, 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 ever put another record out. I get with Rough Town, they never, ever, 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 ever put another record out. So it was just something new. It was non-promotion. I don't feel like I got the proper companies behind me, because they folded. I mean, they released it digitally. I didn't get a good promo out of it, and it faded very quickly.
And also jumping ahead, in 2018, you were actually featured on CMW member The Chill's 4 with 80 record on the song "I'm So Proud." I was wondering, what was it like being in the studio with Chill and actually working on that project?
Oh, Chill's a long time friend. Once again, it's always like Sylk is the homegirl, Sylk is the sis. I'm like a sister. And it's just like regular. It was no big deal. It was just like we in the studio cooking up something. I think I did my verse in like 30 minutes, and The Chill called me out to be on this project. I willingly did it, and it was just like, no big deal. We always hang out. We all get together and do certain little records. Some come out, some don't. So it was just like hanging out at the studio, dropped the verse, and he used it for his project.
And also as well, you have a brand new album actually coming soon. And I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about this record release, and of course, what can they expect from it when it does drop to the general public?
Oh my goodness, I am so excited. It was like I tried a couple of years ago to put this little single out, but it just wasn't the right timing. I didn't have the right people around me, so I kind of set it out for a while, and God put it on my spirit. I want to say the first week of March. And I just went forward. I knew I was in a comfortable place in my life. I moved forward. I have my EP complete. It's entitled Wedding Cake, my anniversary album, because I'm married to the game. You can expect West Coast sound. Like, I'm definitely bringing back California love. You can expect reality rap, and you can expect a lot of love and relationship concepts behind the wedding cake.
And I gotta say, it sounds like a phenomenal record. And I gotta say, this is exactly what hip hop needs. You know what I mean? It needs a break from this new age stuff. We really need that real substance back. And I gotta say, Sylk, I really think you're bringing that to the table, and I'm excited because I loved your other records. You know what I mean? I love the stuff you did with
Right.
Eazy-E. So being able to hear some new Sylky Fyne, I'm telling you, I'm excited.
I am so thankful for people like you that are on radio that can just really get it out there. I know it's been a long way, but definitely I'm doing it for the people. I think they'll be appreciative to hear the foundation, the substance, and the concept of the music featured on the wedding cake.
And like they always say, though, as well, you know, good things come to those who wait. So I think us hip hop fans, we waited a long time, but it's most definitely going to be worth it.
Exactly. So I'm just thankful. And then another thing that got me back to do a new project was that all my comments from social media, like I would get young girls, maybe no older than 22 and 23, sending me clips of them singing Romeo and Juliet. And I'm like, wow, you were probably 1 year old. And they're like, but we love this record. And I get great comments like, Silky, when are you going to drop something? So I just felt like I owed it to the fans. I owed it to the world. And going independent, I think I will have a better outcome because people feel better when they can actually deal with the artist. And it's not so Hollywood and all made up and, oh, this is my assistant. Oh, this is this is that. I'm wearing all the hats right now.
And also, as well, directly after this interview, you actually sent two exclusive songs off this brand new record to be placed into the station's rotation. And I haven't even listened to them, so I'm with the audience on this. I'm going to be listening to my own station right after we sign off. But the tracks are called Married to the Game and It's Alright. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners quickly a little bit about these songs and what's the meaning behind them. That way they can wrap their head around the joints just a little bit more when we do debut them directly after this interview.
Okay, well, we're going to start with It's Alright. It features my best friend, OG, Sexy Little Mama. It's Alright. It is it's not even a remake of Tupac, I Ain't Mad at You, but it's telling people, like, it's alright. I'm not mad at you. I've been through so many things in life that I can get over anything. So why is everybody mad? Why is everybody bitter? Why is there so much anger in this world? So that basically covers, like, it's all right. Take a deep breath. It's all right. And then with Married to the Game, it's just straight out fire. It's letting you know, like, this is what I do. I am committed to this rap game, and I'm married to it. So it talks a lot about a union, loyalty, love, respect, and I just can't wait to see what the callers gonna think about it,
And
and
also,
the listeners.
and I gotta say, I most definitely think they're gonna love what they're gonna hear coming up here very soon.
Oh wow! I can't wait. I love premieres. I love getting aired out, and hopefully, I get a great response from these records.
And also, Silky, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated everything Sylky Fyne if they're not already doing so.
Okay, well, first off, I would like to give a very special thanks, shouts out to God for giving me the strength, for allowing me to knock out a project in 60 days independently. I would like to thank the beautiful people that played a part, worked as a team. My best friend, OG, Sexy Little Mama. I would like to thank Video G, Dominique, Brandon, Shouts out to my GBM girls, Diamond, Big Chan, T-Ski, Miami for participating on the record. Shouts out to Rich Stitz. Shouts out to Gangsta Draysta. Shouts out to Mugga Man out in Maryland for giving me them funky tracks. Shouts out to Quinn 100 for giving me dope tracks. Kevin Dose and Aaron Hall and just everybody that has something to do with this great project.
And I gotta say,
and I can't forget Green Tea LA Studios. Oh, they're awesome. And if you want to look out and you want to hit me up, you can find me on Twitter, SYLKEFYNE. That's Sylky Fyne with the 1. The number 1 on Twitter. I'm Lorraine Johnson on Facebook, and on Instagram, I have Sylky Fyne, and I have Lorraine Lyrics. Hit me up.
I gotta say, Sylky, thank you so much for just taking the time out of your busy evening and sliding into the 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM airwaves. It was an honor and most definitely a privilege, and I hope you have a phenomenal studio session, but most of all, have yourself a wonderful night as well.
Much love, baby, and I appreciate that. Shouts out to everyone out there in Canada. Keep that station on lock, because Outlaw hip-hop is bringing you the best.
You already know. Thank you so much, Sylky Fyne. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Okay, much love. Thank you. Bye-bye.